Hello, this is David Kelley. This is going to be episode 1 of my Becoming Competitive series for X-Wing. And today, the topic is going to be token spending. I bring this up because over the years I've noticed I win a lot of games purely because I more efficiently spend my tokens or my actions than my opponent. So, what you can see on the screen here is a dice calculator. You can just Google dice calculator, or I'll put the link in the description below. But I found this to be very effective, and it's going to tell us a lot of things. So I'm going to go over a couple of the most common mistakes I see. I'm not going to go over every scenario interaction, but I'm going to go over a couple of the most common. I'm going to explain them and why it works the way it works. That way you can see the thought process behind it, and then I'm going to show you how to use this calculator effectively, and from there you should be able to go on to analyze your own situations for yourself. Because as a competitive player, you're going to run into situations that you've not seen before, that you're going to want to work out or remember. Even now, with a few years of experience, every once in a while I hit a spot and I'm like, man, I don't actually know what the right decision here is. And instead of just taking an educated guess, well, that's what I do in the situation. But instead of that being all I do, I'll actually take a picture of the board state and go home, use a calculator, some other program, or just sit down and brute force it and figure out what the correct decision was. Because if you keep doing that over and over again, you'll start making better and better decisions. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is what I see so many players do wrong, even good players. I see players in the cut of regionals and up sometimes making this decision, and it drives me nuts every time. So, first topic is focus versus target lock. Which is better? Do you take a focus or do you take a target lock? And the reality is, focus is going to be better an incredibly large percentage of the time. And that simply put, the reason is you can spend your focus on offense or defense. Either one. You can spend the focus on offense or defense, whereas the target lock is only an offensive mod. Now the reality is, when you're talking about total number of hits or crits, having a focus and having a target lock give you the same chance of total hits and crits. And just in case anybody doesn't believe me, we're going to use the calculator and prove it. So if I have a focus token and 3 attack dice, I'll hit simulate, and we'll get this model here. Now the way you read this is, this row is your individual probability of each of these outcomes. So there's a 42% chance of 3 hits, and this includes crits. So when I say hits, I'm including hits plus crits. So you've got a 42% chance of 3 hits, 42% chance of 2 hits, 1% chance, or 14% chance of 1 hit, and a 1.5% chance of just blanking out. Now this column is at least, so 42% chance of 3 hits. You have an 84% chance, however, of having 2 or 3 hits. And this number, this column is going to be a column we're going to look at as we go through this, because this is an important column to pay attention to. And then this is just the percentage of times you crit. You'll notice here it's 16% or 17%. Okay. So this is with focus. Now pay attention to these numbers, 42, 42, 14, 1.5. We'll change this from a focus to a target lock, come back down here, and all of a sudden, boom, 42, 42, 14, 1.5. 42, 84, 98. These numbers all stay the same. All right? Same percent chance of getting the end result with a focus or a target lock. Now, the only difference is target lock does increase your chance for criticals. But the reality is, it's such a small fraction, and the upside to focus is so much greater. So why is focus, in my opinion, and most players' opinion, better than target lock? Well, the fact of the matter is, if I roll 3 dice, and I have hit, focus, focus. If I spend that focus, I know I'm getting 3 hit results. Where if I roll that same roll and I get hit, focus, focus, and I have a target lock, I now have to spend that target lock, and I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. The target lock gives you the unknown quantity. So when I'm spending the focus, I know exactly what my end result is going to be. When I spend the target lock, I don't know what my end result is going to be. So that's a very important distinction. You'll hear ace players have perfect information, right? Everybody gets to move and then they get to do all their stuff. Well, that's kind of what focus does. It gives you the perfect information when you make your decision. And if you know more information when you make your decision, that's always going to be better. And also, focus can be used on defense. And this is a big thing. So if I have say I'm flying Student Tier Fell. I'm range 3 shooting at a arc. Well, the arc's got no mods on me or whatever. It's just a naked shot, the arc's shooting back at me. If I roll hit, focus, focus, I'm going to look at the game state and say, I can guaranteed get 3 hits here and shoot at this arc who's only going to roll 2 agility dice. So if I spend this focus token, I'm guaranteed doing 1 damage even if he natties out. If he rolls and evade, I'm doing guaranteed 2 damage. If he blanks, I'm doing 3 damage. And based on the game state, I'm going to use that information, that perfect information, to know what my correct decision should be. So if that arc only has 1 hole, I'm spending the focus. I kill the arc. If nobody else can shoot me, it's a consequence-free choice. Right? Or if he's got 2 hull left, I'm spending that focus, and then I'm like, man, the only way he survives is if he natties out. That's like a little over a 1 in 8. So that's a good odds there. You know what the odds are. So the focus tells you that inherently, whereas the target lock doesn't. In addition, if you're, say, flying a PS2 ship, PS2 X-Wing, it's part of a 4 X-Wing list you have, you're shooting last. So shot comes in, you roll evade focus. Well, now you're like, oh, wow, I just rolled my focus. If I spend it here, I'm guaranteed to save a damage. Whereas if you had the target lock, you don't even get that option. So maybe you've got the best shot in the world and all 4 of your ships can shoot their Darth Vader, and you're like, I'm just willing to accept damage because I need to kill it here. But maybe you want to spend it because all of a sudden that Student Tier took a range 3 shot at you and you rolled 3 focuses, and you're like, man, I'm just going to spend the focus and save 3 damage. The reality is the focus is going to give you a lot more diversity in terms of what you can do with it, both on offense and defense, over the target lock. So the reality is, especially if you're a low PS ship, you should almost always be taking the focus. Now, there are times when you're going to take the target lock. That time is going to be low PS ship moves to a spot where he knows he's not going to get a shot, and he knows the other ship isn't going to shoot him. Well, if he doesn't need a focus for offense or defense, the target lock persists through rounds. So taking the target lock at that point in time might be the correct decision. But anytime there's going to be a combat, the focus is almost always going to be better than the lock for a lot of the reasons we've talked about. So that's one aspect of this to look at. If you're flying low PS ships and you're taking target locks, and all of a sudden the aces are like, well, I'm just going to boost barrel and not let you shoot me because you have a lock on me. And then the other ship that you can shoot is just sitting there and you don't have a lock on it. Why? Because you took the lock on the wrong ship. That's where the focus is like, I don't care who I shoot at. I've still got a modded shot. So if you're running ships with single mods, focus is probably going to be your best decision-making token you can take. So perfect info is always going to be better than not perfect info. Now the next thing is focus versus reposition. And I'm saying focus versus because focus is the core action in the game that almost every ship should be taking a majority of the time. You want to be focused. So The big thing I see with this is a lot of players will move their PS2 up, and then they'll be like, I don't like where I'm at, so I'm going to barrel roll. And okay, expanding your arc is a good thing, but if you wanted your arc to be there, that's something you should have thought about in the movement phase or the turn before. Like, you want to be planning your ship where your arc is as part of your actual movement the turn or two before. You don't want to have to barrel roll to get position if you can avoid it, or boost to get position if you can avoid it. Now, sometimes that's a necessity. Sometimes the only way you can get out of where you're at and let your big ace come through and do what he needs to is to move in the barrel. I get it. Sometimes that's a necessity. But if you're just going, man, I think I need to barrel here, and there's no real reason, like you're not trying to block a ship, you're not trying to make room for another ship, you're just saying, I think I need to barrel, or I think I want to be closer, or whatever the thing is. The reality is taking the focus action and just sitting there, especially for low PS, when you don't know what the enemy's doing, is almost always going to be better. So take that focus action, especially if you're finding yourself being naked a lot of the time, your low PS ships being naked, not having actions. Start taking the focus and just settling in on, I'm going to make a good maneuver, and I'm going to let the focus do the work for me. With high PS, all of a sudden, now you've got the focus versus barrel roll question again, but now you need to ask yourself, if I barrel roll, can he shoot me? Because the reality is, if he could still shoot you, the focus is probably going to be better than the barrel roll almost all the time. And by this I mean, if you're just barrel rolling to get from range 2 to range 3, well, a focus at range 2 is going to be better than a naked 3 dice defense a lot of the time. So we'll put a normal attack, 3 dice attack with a focus here. And let's say you are just an X-Wing. You only have 2 defense dice. Yeah? And we're going to give you a focus. So we're going to roll this scenario. 3 attack, 1 focus, versus 2 defense, 1 focus. We're going to simulate. So they're going to get 3 hits, 6% of the time. 2 hits, 25%. 1 hit, 38%. All right, so they're doing, on average, 1.07 damage. Okay, that's damage, but it's not a ton of damage. However, if we reduce the focus and increase the defense dice, remember, we're looking at 1.07 average damage. All of a sudden now, 1.2 average damage. You trying to get that extra defense dice just cost you 1/5 of a damage. That's not good. And that's a mistake I see a lot of new players making. They'll be like, dice are worth more than focus. And that's not true. Focus is going to be worth more than a dice almost always. Now, this was with a 2 defense dice ship. All right. Well, what if we've got a 3 defense dice? Let's say this is Soontir, or just a Aether Sprite, or any 3 defense die, a TIE Fighter. Now we've got a 3 dice, and we'll even give him a target lock focus this time. Right? This is a very accurate shot coming at you that you know you're going to have to defend against. You've got a 3 defense dice ship with a focus. All right, we're going to roll this. This was your average range 2 shot. They're going to deal 1 damage, basically, 0.98. However, if you were to barrel roll out to range 3 and get that 4th defense die, but lose the focus, all of a sudden, man, look at that. That number went up a lot more than the 2, right? Like, the more defense dice you have, the more that focus is going to be worth natively. So they just gained 0.35 damage against you, essentially. 1/3 of a damage on that average shot. That's quite a bit there. So you want to start taking that focus rather than trying to just barrel to range 3. There is a scenario where barreling to range 3 may be appropriate, and that's going to be if, say, there's a swarm of 6 ships that are going to shoot you. If you can go from range 2 to range 3 of all 6 ships, that might be a case where it's better. But if it's just 1 ship shooting you with 1 very good shot, the reality is just take the focus, take your lumps, and move on with it. So, just a thing to think about. Make sure you're looking at the situation, trying to figure out what the statistically better choice is. And the last one I want to talk about is focus and evade spending. So, I see like defenders, a lot of defender players make this mistake. I've been seeing Rick players make the mistake also. If you have a focus evade on a ship and you're getting shot at multiple times, so say your defender's out there and he's got to tank 3 shots all at range 2, and we'll say it's 3 focus shots. So if that defender, and for this the calculator kind of helps and kind of doesn't, but the reality is, if on the first shot you roll an average, you roll blank, evade, focus, what token should you spend? Well, the reality is the first time you can spend a focus token is probably the right time to spend the focus token. I can only think of one scenario offhand where that's not true. I'm sure there's more scenarios, but if you're rolling 3 dice or 2 dice, anything less than 4 dice, you're rolling 1, 2, or 3 dice. If you could spend a focus token, you spend the focus token first, especially if there's more shots coming. And the reason for this is you're never guaranteed to roll another focus result. So if I roll blank, focus, evade, and I need to spend, and it's a 2 hits coming in, I spend the focus. I don't spend the evade there. Because the next round, I may just roll blank, 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 or blank, blank, evade. I may not have a focus result to spend. Whereas that evade result, I can always spend it. Doesn't matter what my roll is. That evade is always going to be an evade. So spend your focus before evades when multiple shots are coming in. That's a big, big thing I see a lot of players do. And I see this with aces more commonly, like Ryad sometimes, or Rick. They'll spend the evade first because they're like, I want to save that focus for attack. But the reality is, there's a lot of shots coming in. If you're going to take 3 or 4 shots with whatever ship you have, well, I guess you wouldn't be spending it with an ace, obviously, if low PS are shooting at you. But if it's a PS1, say it's a PS1 defender, PS2s are shooting at you, don't try and save your token for attack. Like, spend it efficiently, especially when multiple shots are coming in there. Because your health is worth quite a bit if you've got a 3 agility ship. On a defender, each of those health hull points and shields are worth a ton of points. So save them. Spend your tokens wisely. Spend those focus before evades. And the other thing is just spend your focus the first opportunity you have, almost always. There's very few situations where I'm going to save a focus. Now, don't get me wrong. At Worlds, I saved my focus a couple times. The prime example was my shuttle rolled 1 single focus. However, I had a shot on a naked, high-value target, and I wanted that shot to be quality because I wasn't going to get a good shot like that again. In that case, I saved my focus because I was willing to say, I don't care if I take a damage here for the potential maybe damage I could get later. But I was willing to take that damage, whereas later you might not be. So just spend your focus before evade and spend your focus first opportunity you get. And I mentioned there was a scenario where spending the focus before the evade can be wrong. And it's specifically in this scenario. So I've been flying some Vader Echo recently. And my Vader is just a Vader. But my Echo has juke. So say I'm shooting at your Aether Sprite. Say I'm shooting at Obi-Wan. Or no, that's the wrong choice. Say I'm shooting at Soontir. That's the perfect example. I'm shooting at Soontir. He's got a focus and an evade. Vader shoots at Soontir. And actually, I don't want. And Soontir's got a shield upgrade because I don't want the crits to come into play here. So Soontir's got a shield upgrade. Vader rolls hit, crit. This is a range 2 attack. Soontir rolls blank, focus, evade. Now, Soontir could spend the focus and the evade and take no damage. Alright? And my Vader and Echo are both target lock focused here. Or target lock forced in Echo's case. So, Soontir rolls average, blank, evade, focus. And then Vader rolls hit, crit. That's a very standard thing for Vader to do. What should Soontir do in this situation? Well, the reality is Soontir should spend the evade token and nothing else. He should save that focus result. The reason we're saving the focus result is... Can I make this 0? Yes, I can. I'm going to roll just the defense dice here so we can look at that. Oh, I can't look at just defense? Can't look at just defense. Ah, here it is. All hits, 3 dice. Beautiful. Boom. So if we have a 100% chance of 3 hits happening, on just 3 defense dice, this is what you're looking at rolling with no focus. So the reason we're saving our focus is because Echo has juke, which means Echo's going to hit hard against naked ships. So on a normal shot without juke, Echo's doing 1.8 damage on average to just a naked 3 agility ship. Now we turn juke on, simulate this again. Why is it not working? 3, juke. Oh, I need an evade. Beautiful. Simulate. Haha, got to use your functions correctly. So that 1.8, all of a sudden you throw juke in there, jumps to 2.6 damage. That's a lot of damage. However, if I have that focus token, boom, that 2.6 damage drops all the way down to 1.1. Now remember, that focus would save us 1 damage on the Vader attack. But by saving it, I'm saving an average of 1.5 damage on the juke attack. Now, I mentioned in the very beginning of the video, there's some situations where I look at it and go, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I'm going to take an educated guess. This scenario came up when I was practicing this list a few months ago, because I was like, ooh, I don't know what you should spend here. Because I was playing with my practice partner, and he was like, what order should I spend my tokens when I'm getting attacked by Vader and Echo back to back? Should I be saving my focus? And at the time, I was like, no, because normally you should spend the focus first. But then we started thinking about it. We were like, hold on. That focus with juke is worth a lot more. Because the odds on a 3 agility roll of rolling a single paint are incredibly high. The odds of rolling 2 paint are really, really high. So on an average roll, if you roll blank focus evade and it gets juked, you've now got 2 focus. So you're going to be spending that focus quite a bit on those juke shots with like an Echo shooting at somebody like that. So, and this is one of those weird cases where spending the focus actually statistically makes sense. However, I came back, used this dice calculator to figure that out. Now, we did watch me go, why is the number not working correctly? And it's because I didn't have the evade assigned to my pilot. So, that's one thing. This calculator will tell you exactly what you tell it to tell you, and not necessarily what you want it to tell you sometimes. So make sure you're filling out all the fields correctly. Now, one of the nice things about this calculator, and I really like it, is it lets you figure out your odds of killing specific ships. And by this I mean, a common thing I found in running my list was I was very consistently able to kill a Y-Wing or an ARC or an X-Wing in 1 round of shooting. And I was like, is this odd? Because I did it 2 or 3 games in a row, and I was like, is this abnormal or is it normal? And so the squad I was running was Psy with Title, Echo with Fifth Brother, Juke, Passive Sensors, and then Vader with Passive Sensors, Hate, Afterburners. So that was the list I was running, and I was like, man, I'm very consistently one-rounding ships here. Is this normal, or am I getting lucky? And so I came to this. So what I'm going to do is show you how I determined that, no, I'm not getting lucky. This is actually what's happening, or should be happening. So, shooting at a Y-Wing, I'm going to assume Vader has a range 1, and Echo has a range 2, and my shuttle has a range 2, because that's a very easy thing for me to set up. In reality, either Echo or the shuttle probably also have a range 1, but I don't want to give me that much. So I'm just going to do Vader range 1, Echo range 2, and then shuttle range 2. So I'm shooting at a Y-Wing. He's got 1 focus token, 1 agility. Vader has 4 attack dice. He's got a target lock. He's got a focus. He's also got... Where is it? Do we have it on here? Talents and powers. I don't see it. Shipability. Advanced target viewer. There it is. They're all here. You just got to find them. Alright, so this is going to be my Vader attack in attack number 1. Now we're going to scroll down. Attack number 2. This is Echo. So Echo's got 3 attack dice. She's got a target lock. She's got 1 force. So this is assuming I take my target lock and I have my force. We're going to have Juke. We're going to have an evade. And we're going to have... I don't know that Fifth Brother's actually in here. So we're not going to be able to add the crit in there. But just know, more than likely, a crit will be going through here. So this is attack 2. 3 dice, lock, force, evade, and juke. And then attack 3 is going to be my shuttle. 3 dice, lock, focus. And then we've got our 1 agility, 1 focus, Y-Wing that we're shooting at. We're going to simulate. This is where the numbers get very interesting. Yeah. So, probability of us doing all 10 of our shots, because we got 10 total dice, right? Vader shooting 4 dice, Echo shooting 3 dice, and the shuttle is shooting 3 dice. So the odds of getting 10 total hits out of 10 dice are only 3%. Not great. The odds of getting 9, though, go up to 26%, and the odds of getting 8 go to almost 40%. Or the odds of getting 8 are 40%. But if we look over here, the odds of getting 8 or more go to 68%. That's the odds of 8 hits going through past the defense dice are 68%. We're expecting 7.9 damage. Like, we're expecting to deal 7.9 damage to an 8 health ship. What that means is we're killing that Y-Wing in 1 volley incredibly often. I mean, that's a very, very high number. So what I realized in my practice was, oh, this is not a fluke. This is an incredibly consistent thing. And then when I realized that, guess what? My shuttle against the Rebel Beef is very often getting 4 dice. And when I run that scenario, this goes up to 8.8. And all of a sudden, I'm 90% to kill that Y-Wing in 1 volley. That's an incredibly high number, an incredibly consistent thing. That's what I learned from my list, and I would never have known it unless I did it, come back, use this calculator, figure things out. Now, let's turn this down, and I'm going to look at a 2 agility, 6 health, or 2 agility ship. So if you're shooting at an X-Wing, look how consistently we're killing an X-Wing and run around. Incredibly high chance that we kill that X-Wing in a round. So 58% of the time, 57% of the time, we're murdering an X-Wing. If it's a Kirax, 82% of the time we're killing it in one round. I mean, those are incredibly high numbers. So use this calculator to your advantage. You can go through and just you can figure out all sorts of things with this. So I think the purpose of this video is mostly just to state there's tools you need to use them. Tools are out there. The X-Wing community is insanely good at figuring this stuff out and helping. So utilize what's out there. I hope this episode was good. Maybe it's a little math heavy, maybe not. I don't know, but I did ramble. But guess what? That's what this series is going to be. Me rambling about competitive X-Wing. So I hope you liked it. I'm David Kelley. Become competitive. Have a good one.